Welcome to part 3 of Level 2 Couch Conversations. Previously we talked about, we're still talking about VR.
We're still talking about VR.
Episode 1 we talked about pricing, the different players that are in play.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 2 was about video games.
Games and what it needs to do to become mainstream outside of gaming.
Yeah, and we kind of started to talk about regulations.
Yes.
And that's where we'll kind of continue this conversation here.
So regulations, I think there needs to be something there above and beyond ESRB. ESRB is great for games, but the fact that you are this person, and again, I'm going to use the example of Grand Theft Auto 5. You're this person that's murdering cops in first person. You are that guy pulling that trigger, which, yes, you are, but when you're holding a controller, it's a different experience. Like, there's a disconnect between you and the game.
Well, I agree, but I think that you're still going to be holding a controller. It doesn't until they get to the level where you can have light guns or whatever it is that they have to do. You're still going to kind of feel like you're not really doing it.
Even if you're using move and all that, like if you're using the sticks.
Again, it's not quite the same.
It's not. I don't know. It's not connected. So even if you're holding your hands like that, it's still you're holding two like sex toy looking things.
It's not gonna feel like you're actually doing it, even though it will feel the most like you're actually doing it that there's ever been. But I don't think it's gonna be that level yet, where like there's no connotation of difference between those two things.
Yeah, and
and
like because I know Tom, you mentioned it before, like the mental health thing that we talked about. Like I don't know if there necessarily is a way to regulate that. Just like, I mean, do you do a mental health test before? Before anyone buys a VR headset,
do you have to do a background check?
Do you have to do a background check to make sure that you don't have like a history of violence or anything like that? But the biggest thing that I think is, I mean, kids still being formative. I don't necessarily think that we're going to be seeing, at least for a while, until this becomes way more mainstream, in which case there may be regulations in place by that point.
You said it before, there'll be something that needs to happen to do that. That's what happened. Yeah. I can't remember what game made ESRB a thing, but I remember the big kerfluffle about it.
I think it was Mortal Kombat.
That started that.
But, like, I don't necessarily see, like, I worked at GameStop for a long time. I don't think I would necessarily see, because there were so many people when they got Grand Theft Autos, this is when, like, 360 was out and Grand Theft Auto 4 was out. Parents were buying their kids Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, so they were still buying the previous generation's thing. So, like, at least for a while, I don't think that we're going to run into mom or grandma going into GameStop.
So you're not thinking to probably the PlayStation 5 or whatever.
Well,
or whatever it is. Yeah.
What's interesting is it's almost another case of technology moving too fast for government regulation as it stands. I mean,
it always happens.
That there's a current kerfuffle about Apple and the FBI, considering that how fast those tech companies move. Even with things like Uber, like, how do you regulate Uber? Those guys were in a ton of legal trouble because of the idea of that taking over a taxi service. And, so I think the problem is that our legislative branches are not catching up quick enough to the point where it will be a case of some guy takes it too far, shoots up a school or whatever, and then suddenly it's going to be all over the news. Oh, VR is dangerous. We need to do a background check.
It'll be reactive versus proactive.
And saying that, they don't actually do that with guns right now, so I don't see it.
Or someone has like a stroke or something like that, because I know that there is like a lot of people have reported once they've used VR for an extended period of time, when they take it off, like they have some like weird presence issues. Like they feel like there shouldn't be things that they're actually able to reach out and touch. Like
it's actually quite scary.
Yeah, well, like what happens to the person
VR in the real world?
Yeah, who has they just can't handle it, and like they just shut down.
That being said, how long do you think VR games are going to be? Because there's like The Division. We're all playing The Division. I've put over 50, almost 60 hours into that game. I don't think I could sit down and play Division VR for 60 hours.
I would hope that the developers would put in some kind of a take your headset off and walk around for 5 minutes before the game restarts thing. Yeah. I don't know how easy that's going to be.
And who would listen to it? Like, because I know every single time you start up a Sony or like a Nintendo console, it's always like ask your parents if you can play for longer than an hour, and it's just like, nah, homie, I'm an adult. I don't gotta ask my parents shit.
My parents for it.
And there is people that are going to overdo it regardless. Yeah. That might be too difficult for a developer to implement.
I mean,
it would make sense.
But basically what we're saying is it's like any other media. It falls on the parents and the person using the media.
Because I don't think as being a creator you should be limited to. Because what was the Ryan Gosling gangster movie where there was a Gangster Squad? Was that what it was called?
I don't know.
Where there was a shootout in a movie theater, and they decided to postpone the movie to reshoot that scene because like 2 months or 2 weeks before the movie was going to be released, there was a shootout in a movie theater, and they're like, we feel like that's insensitive
Well,
to
they did that
bring
with
it out.
Spider-Man too with 9/11.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is supposed to put a web between the two twin towers, and obviously that I would have seen that kind of more of as a tribute.
Yeah,
Versus,
like
but I get why.
Like I was really against those changes because I feel like as a creator, if you design something this way, keep it however like it should be up. Like that's not fair to them.
Yes.
To have to cater to maybe a very small demographic. Like
and it's up to. So I think the developer can do whatever they want. It's up to the publisher and the retailers to decide what they hold in their store. So like Hatred.
Yeah.
There's a big controversy about the game, and deservedly so. But the fact that that game can get made, I think, is a cool thing.
I mean, Postal's been doing it for a while too. Like there was the ending scene in Postal is where you walk into a school and start shooting at kids, but you can't actually hurt them because you find out you're crazy. But like, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily on the developers or on the game creators' shoulders to monitor that stuff. I think it is entirely on us as a population and us as a consumer base.
Which we know doesn't end well.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is that people are fucking stupid. Like no matter
what age.
And
I know growing up, like my mom was very well in tune to what I was playing.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like I remember going to GameStop, Blockbuster, and getting Grand Theft Auto. It had to be Vice City at the time. First Grand Theft Auto game I ever played. And she didn't know what it was, and that's why I could get it. Then she saw it, and then she's like, "You can't rent that anymore." I was like, "But you let me get it this time. Why can't I do it again?" And
my dad would always check the rating on the back.
see, my mom never did that.
Yeah,
She's like,
partial nudity? Nah, homie, put that back.
Yeah,
but
that's
parents trusted me to be sane.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of the times though, like parents don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
As a kid, you're into this.
We're talking about video games, but this has been going on for a lot longer than video games. I mean, if you think about looking back at video nasties in the 80s, like, you know, Child's Play and stuff, like, they had Child's Play 3, I think it was released very shortly before the Jamie Bulger case in England of this little boy that had been beaten to a pulp and had, like, batteries put up his ass and all kinds of disgusting stuff and left on a train track. And this Jamie Bulger case was huge news, but because they had, you know, these kids being violent in this Child's Play movie, that got the video nasty tag on it. And even before that, you're talking about music as well. Music was banned for being...
Well, when the explicit tag came out, too.
Yeah, so you're dealing with something that...
is never going to go away.
In general, any media, especially new medium, is going to have its kind of growing pains. But I think at some point there's going to be a fair and decisive thing that comes through.
Yeah.
But, you know, who knows when? I mean, it's not going to be until we see widespread adoption or until we have a mass shooting. Probably.
Yes. So, final thoughts on this topic. Excited for VR, not excited for VR? Going to wait and see. Where are you guys at?
If I had a VR, I think I would probably... I would dig into it and probably enjoy it. But as it is, I don't necessarily think that it's like, okay, like... I gotta, like, you know, charge this onto my card just so I can experience that. Like, if like, I would love to get one for the channel so that we can, you know, be able to produce that content and show people what that's like.
It's the next iteration of gaming.
It's going to be out of the hands of a lot of YouTubers as well because it's going to be very expensive as a starting point. Most YouTubers already have their console before they decide.
Except for the big guys.
I think technology is cool though, and like I'm excited to see where this goes. I just hope that, like what Tom mentioned in the last video, like, I hope that people like Sony and stuff like that don't just back out, because I think having this much competition with each other is only going to evolve the medium forward that much more.
I'm really excited about it. So, you know, I talk about nostalgia in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. Like, VR was a pipe dream for me, man. Like, I was watching those movies, and I was just like, God damn, how awesome would it be to just put this, like, helmet on and then just be in this other world? And it's something I've always been very excited about. So, the first time I saw, like, the Morpheus clips of them in the shark cage and seeing how scared they are and everything, I was like, God damn, that would be the greatest thing ever. Now, I know there's going to be some growing pains, some teething. I know we're probably not going to get the best generation first. There's going to be a lot of iterations before it's, you know, close to perfect. But I think it's exciting that it's actually new technology that does not necessarily seem like a gimmick in the same sense as you were talking about with, like, the Kinect and some of the other things. Like, those were nominal features at best. VR is actually, like, potentially game-changing as far as how video games are made completely.
No pun intended.
So, yeah. So I think there's a lot of excitement behind it if they stick with it, if they do it right, and if it doesn't get shut down before it gets a chance to truly get
And
going.
I mean, I wanted to make this video, so I'm super excited for this. I think, to me, that if done right, this is eventually you're going to have, instead of having a box that you plug stuff into, you're going to just put a headset on, and the computer's going to be in that headset, and that's all you're going to have.
Yeah.
And picture that like on an airplane or something. Like, be able to do VR on the go. Like, to me, that's what the future can do.
Airplane probably not the best place to start like, gotcha.
Fuck you!
I'm not thinking it like that, but like movie watching. or something. Like how cool would that be to walk around? Obviously, again, regulations have to come into play where you just couldn't walk down the street with VR because you'd run into something because you can't see. But I think this is going to be a technology that's going to survive as long as three things need to happen. One, it needs to be successful outside of gaming. Two, regulations don't need to kill it, and three, the companies have to stay with it, even through going
That's fair. I
crazy.
think
Those are
that's
the
a
three
good
things that I think needs to happen.
summation of VR in
Make it
general.
happen. So, what are your guys' thoughts on VR? You excited? You're not excited? I mean, like I said, I'm excited.
I
excited,
I
but
am
he
excited,
does-
but I'm apprehensive.
Yeah, see, you're in the middle. I mean, a lot of people are. They don't know until they try
Yeah.
it. But,
Can't wait to try it.
but yeah, that's our couch conversation for VR. If you guys like this, or if you guys have a suggestion for a topic you want us to talk about, let us know down below in the comments. And again, what are your thoughts on VR? You excited? Which one are you gonna buy? But yeah,
It was
that's
good.
pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you didn't know, we have a GoFundMe going on because we think VR is kind of the next big revolution in gaming, along with a lot of people, and we need a little bit of help of getting it. So if you want to check it out, we've got a link down in the description down below. If you can't donate, please share it with your friends, family, your sisters, your ex-girlfriends, whoever you want to send it to. It's something we are kind of excited about with virtual reality, and we want to get our hands on one of these headsets. So thanks again for watching, guys, and check out our GoFundMe page.